manage your magic, especially if you turn it off a little bit early, killing a guard. But we're off, so we're gonna find out fairly shortly here. Oh man, the cactuar sleeping in the bed is adorable. We'll see what we get in the first chest here. And 20 bucks. Money always good early.
Yeah, just Garfield's allowance.
They're going to need at least 100 rupees to get to that. Oh, we get an early map check. All crystals in the light world for both of our runners today, with a red one over at Desert Palace. That's always good news. You want to see those crystals in light world dungeons.
Agreed. It means that there's going to be less items to be in the pedestal.
And Willard's going to be the first one, as he did not do a map check to check out Unclear. And we got the raw power of the hammer.
So I pull out their Thor costume or whatever, because it's hammer time.
That's true. Thor is the one who originally have said it is hammer time. So the hammer, of course, doing damage equivalent to that of the level 3 sword. So very, very powerful. In addition, it does not use ammo, unlike many of the other weapons Uncle can give you in this current version. So it's a little bit easier to farm for those all-important early bombs. As we see Leyra doing a little bit with the guards outside. Willard just going straight ahead, gonna try to get through this escape as quickly as possible. There's only really a problem if you miss those 3 chests in the back of escape here, if there is that initial glove there, but it's obviously much more efficient to get those bombs early.
Yeah, if your first glove is there, then you have to go through the entirety of escape just to get back to the back.
And more money in the first blue guard chest. Neither of our runners having any trouble at all with the hitbox, the smaller hitbox of the hammer on that first key guard.
Yeah, I was about to say that the up and down, the north-south direction for the hammer, that hitbox is horrible.
And Willard killing the third of 5 enemies that need to be defeated in here, and another 50 bucks for Willard in this chest. So both of our runners got to get over 100 rupees well before they leave escape. That's going to be a really comforting thing, knowing that they'll be able to get into Kakariko without any worry about farming money. Question in chat about, are pots as strong as the hammer? We saw our runners kind of throw a pot over at one of those blue guards and it took them out in one shot just like the hammer. Yes, pots do the exact same amount of damage as the hammer in most situations. And Zelda's hiding a piece of heart today as those ball and chain guards go down on both sides.
So she's hiding a little bit of love for Link. Oh.
Well, for Garfield and the cactuar.
I don't know if I want to hug either, though, because they're both prickly. One is physically prickly, the other one has a prickly attitude.
That guy hates Mondays. So, pretty standard escape sequence here. Nothing too bad holding either of these runners up. They're still pretty close, frame for frame, room for room. We're going to see one more enemy that they absolutely have to kill. That is a rat in the back of escape. It's a little bit more tricky just because it's a little bit smaller. Got a smaller hitbox. Got a smaller... It moves around a lot quicker, that's sure. But we'll see the routes really start to diverge after they go through kind of the standard opening, after they get as many items as are available to them, and really open up the map a bit. So both of our runners going to spend a little bit of time here back in this hallway killing these guards, trying to get that bomb drop, and Leyra does. So Leyra's get that bomb, and hopefully Willard will be able to pick that up before he reaches the back of escape.
You know, for the cactuar sprite, that bomb should be red, just to reference the bomb and enemies from Final Fantasy series.
And we enter the first of our dark rooms here behind this secret passage throne room thing. These dark rooms, of course, they do not require the lamp. You get a free light cone here because you are forced to do it. And we don't want to force our runners to do escape without the lamp, but we will absolutely have them do it later. And Willard does get his bomb drop from the snakes. So both of our runners be able to open up those back 3 chests on equal ground. No big time loss incoming.
You could say that Willard was able to broke a bomb from the States.
You could say it.
Don't mind me, Chad. Well, do mind me because I'm gonna say a lot of puns tonight.
And Willard, no problem at all, and neither does Leyra, getting that small key from the rat, and they are gone out of it onto the back of escape. This is our first real big cluster of chests here as Willard gets a second bomb drop, and Leyra does as well, so they'll have that one extra bomb going into Kakariko at least as we get 20 rupees, a map, and a full heart container. Nothing really too exciting there, but a full heart container early is always welcome. You want that little bit of extra defense. You'll find enough eventually by the time you get to the end game in general, but you never want to be going into your first dungeon with just those 3 hearts. So full heart container early, not going to be unwelcome by either of these runners.
Did you notice that was a French vanilla sank heart?
Oh yeah, was it the sank heart? That's awesome. So Sanctuary Heart, there's only one of them in the game. It's the only full heart container that will refill your health entirely. And again, talking about defense, we get the blue mail on both sides, so a little bit of a blue bow there for the Cactuar. And Garfield has just more like a blue outfit on. Garfield not really known for wearing clothes, but we'll let it slide here. He needs some protection. So that'll give him a little bit more defense along with that sank heart going into the world of Hyrule. And we actually see a little bit of a divergence already. Lyra's going west. He's not going to go check the pull tree back here, as Willard is. Just 5 arrows, though, on the tier 2 tree pull. We'll see if he ends up going to check Lumberjack. So this Lumberjack item, which Willard is heading towards, is an item that they can see right now, but they can't access. And accessing it is going to require about a 5-minute journey through a big dungeon that doesn't really result in anything else other than a little bit of traversal. Oh, we get the Moon Pearl in the Thief's Hideout. Talk about that in a minute. So it's really strong and powerful information right now, but because they can't get it right now, a lot of runners choose to just skip out entirely, even knowing what that item is, until they have at least a little bit more towards what is required to grab that item. But on Willard's side, we saw, I believe, nothing, just rupees. So no threat of Aga required yet. And both of our runners now have the Moon Pearl. So with the Moon Pearl and the hammer, they are just a glove away from the Golden World, or the Golden Land, excuse me, also known as the Dark World.
Yeah, getting that glove is such a big priority, lest they have to deal with an agonizing.
So we see Leyra going into that Blind's Hut with just 1 bomb, but picks up a 10 bombs pack as well as a sword. So that was could not have worked out any better for him. He's got full bombs now, and will be able to easily clear out the rest of Kakariko without worrying about going to buy bombs or farming them or anything like that. So Willard's going to be just as happy when he opens up those rest of the chests in there too.
Yeah, if anybody didn't know, that blue 10 bomb pack, that's actually an new thing for this version of the randomizer. It's actually, supposed to be.
So we have another cluster of 5 chests here. In the well, we have Ether. So the first of our medallions, 3 medallions. 2 of the dungeons throughout this game will require medallions to open them. We'll see if either of those dungeons are required, and if Ether is required for either of them. And we also have the book. The book can largely play the role of fetch quest item, being able to use the book at the 2 tablets to get some item drops, as well as access to Desert Palace. So early access to Desert. What do you think? Do you think either of our runners will take that early dip into Desert without the book, without the a fire source, without a glove, without the boots even?
I'd say it's worth the risk just to see what's there. I mean, if it's easy to access, you might as well go for it.
Runners generally like to stay away from dungeons that they cannot full clear, but sometimes the seed drives you into places and force double dips. And we have that glove in the back of the bar. So we have our Dark World access, and we're not even out of Kakariko Village yet.
Yeah, that is very nice to have. I just hope that they don't like diverge from the usual South Shore path, because I've seen runners do the early Dark World and get messed up by it.
I mean, Southern Hylia right now certainly does have a high density of items, but we have a lot of options early here for our runners as far as where to go.
And just 3 bombs on the escape, they're not gonna bother with that. And where is Willard going up to the pedestal?
He's going to check the pedestal right now. Let's get that information. Willard's already shown that he wants that information from the from Aghanim's and the lumberjack tree, and now he's going to get this information from the pedestal. See what's on there. See what those 3 pendants unlock today. And I think this is a smart move because you already know that there's 3 crystal dungeons in the light world, which means all 3 pendant dungeons are in the dark world, so you have a little worse than a 50-50 chance for each individual dungeon. Thieves Town right now is a dark world dungeon that is completable, full clearable, as we see just Couch Cash here on the pedestal. So ped hype's dead at 11:03. Everybody, you're done with your pedestal check. But should the pedestal be required, as Willard would have seen there, he would know that, well, he's going to go and clear out Thieves Town anyway. So it would change his routing and give him a little bit more incentive to dive into those early pendant dungeons, full clear them out, because he knew that the bosses would eventually be necessary. And Leyra finds a lamp, so no dark rooms today, but Willard's going to go do that early dark world route, forgoing the South Shore like you had warned him about.
Yeah, that lamp is very important, but runners of these caliber, I believe they will be able to do dark rooms very easily.
Absolutely, but the lamp also serves as a fire source with the ability to light torches, which is certainly an important progression item in that sense. But as far as dark rooms, both of these runners are more than capable of navigating all those without the aid of the lamp. And we have this 5-chest cluster on the left of your internet for Leyra, and we've got a whole lot of nothing so far, just some hearts and money. Willard, meanwhile, picks up his red thread, so stocked on defense now. Even though there's only 6 hearts, that is a lot of defense.
Yeah, they'll make the dip into Thieves Town a lot easier for him in this case, even with oh, what are those?
Those are the boots, I believe. We like going fast here in Randomizer, and those boots are going to help us do exactly that. So Willard's play of going to early Dark World seems to be paying off a little bit better. But Leyra does have that lamp, and Lyra's going to go for Hype Cave now, another cluster of 5 chests. So both of our runners definitely prioritizing these early, heavy clusters as Willard grabs a bottle that has a bee in it on his side. So this is great. We're going to get a lot of information early about where our runners are going to need to go. We're going to see a lot of different things, and we're not even 15 minutes in yet. So I think this is going to make for a fantastic seed. We'll see at what point, if any, our runners end up converging.
They'll probably converge around the same time. Well, but you know what? I think they might go to different dungeons. Oh, we got the second medallion, 2/3 of the way.
So we get Quake. We'll see if that Hype Cave was a hype or gripe later on once we get a little bit more information about this seed, as Willard takes his 30 digs to try to dig up something good. And he's leaving it. Nothing for him. Gonna pay a visit to Stumpy. Stumpy, guy that lives in a stump. He just kind of hangs out there, just waiting to give you an item. We're not very good at naming things here in the Link to the Past community, but today Stumpy's giving out half magic.
That is definitely useful, especially in later dungeons where you need to use a lot of magic.
And especially paired with that level 1 sword, half magic plus a fire rod could be quite a better option for a weapon. As Leyra is going to head into the Dark World, looks like he's going to go and check that pedestal quickly as well. As no, he's not going to check the pedestal. I thought he was a little bit further north than he was. So going right into the Dark World, doesn't need to know what's on the pedestal, as Willard goes into his hype or possibly gripe cave.
I don't know. I think Quake is like 1 out of 5 hype.
We get the map check from Leyra, so we get Skull Woods as the other red crystal. Those two could play an important role in opening up that Pyramid Fairy. But with that hammer, Willard's going to continue on his route here, his tour of the Dark World. That hammer really giving him good maneuverability around the world early, whereas Leyra decided to save and quit at that point. Kind of two items in this route that Willard's going on. There's the pyramid item here, and then there's the catfish a little bit further north. Catfish is more or less a terminal position, so we'll see if he saves and quits and where he heads after that. Just 5 rupees on the pyramid a day, nothing exciting. Meanwhile, Leyra's doing Village of Outcasts. There is the possibility that he could dip that green pendant Thieves Town. It is one of the faster dungeons, but being a pendant dungeon, not necessarily required to complete. He's going to be happy to see those boots, though, in the C-shaped house.
Willard's route to do Pyramid and Catfish, it's really tough to find a good route to Catfish, so this is one of those times, as well as having the mirror and going to do Zora checks at the same time.
With no mirrors and flippers, that is not quite an option for Willard at this time, so he's going to do this. This is also a play that I wouldn't expect his opponent to make early, so if Catfish gives up something good, we'll see. This could really pay off. Meanwhile, Leyra's going to take that dip in Thieves Town. There are 4 items here if he full clears it, and he does have the ability to full clear, as the Catfish gives Willard a little bit of love, and Willard rejects it. Saves and quits before he even picks it up. So back to the Sanctuary for Garfield and friends. Meanwhile, Leyra's going to keep going through Thieves Town. Nothing good in this dungeon yet, but we're only at the first half. Some runners will duck out after the first 4 chests here. We'll see if Leyra makes such a call here after this last and final chest here. And looks like we're going to continue on with the dungeon. Meanwhile, nothing good happening over at Bonkrocks for Willard.
I don't know, having a second bottle is actually pretty good, though again, with the runners of these caliber, they might be used to not having as many safeties.
Especially with that red mail and that half magic already. I'm fairly confident that both of these runners are going to be very, very well equipped for handling Ganon at the end of it. And we get a flute from the sick kid, so that gives us a little bit more maneuverability here. Also opens up a bunch of Death Mountain. Well, not too much of Death Mountain, but still a welcome traveling item that both of these runners really want to see. It might take Leyra a little bit to get back there. That is more or less a one-off location, but he could get back there sooner rather than later.
Also incredibly convenient that the sick kid has the flute. You don't have to do too much routing just to get back to activate it.
So right now, both of our runners having very different routing ideas. We get the lamp on Leyra's side, and we get the flute on Willard's side as Willard goes back into that library to pick up that ice rod. Turtle Rock is a crystal, so this will be required.
And typically, ice rod is like the trolliest item possible because there are only 2 places it can't be in: Ganon's Tower and Trinex. So finding it that early is going to be a boon for both runners.
We're going to head toward Desert now. Sees a Master Sword on the Desert Ledge. Definitely wants to pick that up. So if nothing else, he gets a little bit of a sword upgrade here. A little bit of indecision on Willard's side, whether to go and grab that or not. He's going to head into Agina's cave instead. Meanwhile, Leyra's got to pick up this mysterious maiden back here, wants to rescue her. She's looking a little pale, but I'm sure everything will turn out all right for her. Does get a small key, so he will have to check that big chest if he wants to full clear this dungeon. Certainly heading that way, as Willard goes into the old man's cave and tries to bomb his wall. Just 20 bucks for his time.
Oh man, flippers. Technically not required since they can flip a fake flipper to ice, and swamp is appended, but very nice to have.
Flippers also opens up a bunch of items in the logic, including, like you said, Ice Palace and Swamp Palace, in case either of our runners want to go there. Can't get into either of those dungeons yet. Need the Mirror for Swamp, need the Titansmiths for Ice. But it does open up Zora Ledge. It does open up Waterfall of Wishing, although our runners could actually get both of those without flippers, used with the aid of minor glitches.
Willard is going to be very happy that he skipped out on this desert because he's going to find his lamp during the lake.
And with all of the items required to beat a crystal dungeon, especially knowing that there's a master sword waiting for you as part of it, I would be inclined to certainly head into desert after this mini Moldorm cave, as Leyra downs blind. Very nice fight. Picks up that green pendant. Hasn't been to Shrahasala at all yet, so going to be able to turn that 3-item early location into a 4-item now. And we don't get to see Ice Rod strats at Mini Moldorm Cave very often, so enjoy it while you can. As Willard spends more than half of his magic pool trying to get those 4 Moldorms down.
It's a good thing he had the half magic because Ice Rod is incredibly slow to move.
And Lyra with his first bottle, so that's the first step in getting that flute. And really, without the flute, getting to desert is kind of a pain in the butt. So certainly something that will encourage both of our runners to head that way. Willard's going to go check out Ice Rod Cave first. Wants to be thorough on all of these overworld locations.
Yeah, Ice Rock Cave is also one of those terminal areas, so most runners would either wait till they have the boots or the flute just to get to that one spot.
Looks like Larry's going to head over to Stompy, pick up his half magic. Since he's already done Hype Cave, I have to believe that this is the last stop on the Southern Dark World tour for him, as he'll need to find a new place to go to. Willard, meanwhile, going to set up for a fake flipper here. Not quite enough money to pay the big fish, but we'll see where he goes. You can still check Hobo here. No, he's not going to pay the big fish. Where's he going? You get the flute, man. Ah, I see. So there's a setup there, often used in No Major Glitches runs, where you can use that bush to kind of guide to guide Link. So you can hold upright after slashing, and the slash serves as a buffer, so you get this 100% of the time once you learn the trick. That will make it so that you are exactly lined up on the edge of the screen when you go and you jump into that water. So good use by Willard of that knowledge in order to set himself up for the first try fake flipper as he goes and visits the hobo, and the hobo rewards him with 20 rupees. And I didn't even notice, but he did manage to do the walk-on water glitch coming out of Ice Rod Cave. So he dashed at just the right number of pixels away from the on the ledge coming out of Ice Rod Cave to turn on that water walk glitch. Made it much easier to get back here and go over towards the Zora items. Chat pointing out that this game is broken. It's a little bit, but to be fair, I mean, these people were programming in handwritten assembly in the 1980s. We can give him a little bit of credit. As Willard fills his hearts and turns off the glitch, this game works in mysterious ways. Meanwhile, Lyra's going to go into Desert Palace, has all of the requisite items to beat it, and will be very happy to... Sorry, I was reading that text over on Willard's side. That's a cool Easter egg. I hadn't seen that before. Will be very happy to pick up his Master Sword.
I think that text only showed up because Willard forgot to empty out his bottles, and oh god, Willard's gonna be probably a little angry that he doesn't have flippers because he just saw 300 rupees in the ledge.
So gonna have to save that Zora check for later. Doesn't quite have the 500 to pay the big fish for his item. Meanwhile, Larry's gonna pick up his big key for Desert Palace as Willard heads in to do the same. So this is going to be the first crystal for both of our runners. A little bit of a convergence here. Mushroom is the only difference in items right now, I believe. Actually,
Leyra found another sword in desert.
So we're going to walk out of here with Tempered Sword. So we're all set on defense and offense here for the long term. Just need some silver arrows, and Ganon will be a breeze.
And the bow.
And the bow? Somebody found the bow? Is that what you said?
No, you forgot to mention that we need.
Oh yeah, no, we need the bow. I mean, but we're gonna find the bow. You can't beat this game without the bow.
Now you just reminded me of a commentary from last year's spring tournament where the Chad and Frieza were trolling Willard with the if they got the lore. I'll have to clip it later.
Willard, famous for enjoying being trolled. I mean, most people don't really like it, but I know Willard certainly appreciates it. As Leyra heads back into the second half of Desert Palace, and Willard picks up his sword. So we get the flippers on the left, we get the mushroom on the right, and we're going to have a crystal and temper sword on both sides pretty soon here.
With the temper sword, I don't think either of them are going to try. Oh wait, Lyra doesn't have it, but I don't think he's going to try Ice Rod strats on that. Yeah,
we'll not have that option on the left side, but with just each head needing 2 Ice Rod shots, I think that's a pretty significant difference. Pretty solid option for Willard at this point. Although, just need 2 tempered sword spins in order to kill each landmo. Is that the singular? Is that like the group of them? Landmole? Landmolus? Landmola? Landmoli? Either way, they're going to get dead here on the left side of your screen as we start out with some spins on Leyra's side.
He might have missed one of those spins because of the knockback.
Either way, he's got one of those landmo snake things dead. And 2 of them are dead. Just 1 more to go. 3 hearts, but with that red mail, plenty. A little bit overgeared from what the game expects you to have as he burns some fire in celebration on getting that compass and holds up above that Cactuar's head the big first crystal.
It's more like he's bouncing the crystal on his head.
So Willard's going to come in and defeat his Landmolini as well. And Leyra's going to go check out this cave. Where do you think Leyra's going to head to next? What are the options here?
Since he has that green pendant, he's probably going to go to Eastern right now.
I think that's not unlikely. Another possibility is go up to Death Mountain, get that unlocked to make sure, rescue the old man, get that save point unlocked. But saving and quitting here is a great option for Leyra because it is a long way out of that Agina's cave. And Willard does indeed pull out the Ice Rod strats here a little bit. A little bit of short hops from these guys. And you were right, Leyra's going to head over to see Shrahasala in the Eastern Palace area. Whether or not he dips into Eastern is still to be determined. He will not be able to clear it out with a bow. But there are 3 items, and he will be able to get all except for whatever the boss is hiding. Just 20 rupees today from Shrahasala.
Hook shot.
Oh, we got the hook shot in the back of the old man's house, so that is fantastic. That's going to open up all kinds of chests on Eastern Death Mountain. As Willard just flutes directly there. Doesn't have a hook shot, so not going to be able to do too much up here.
No hook shot, no mirror. It's not used. This is going to be a very short trip for Willard. Unless the old man has the mirror.
Mirror plus hammer is the other way to get around Death Mountain. Leyra doesn't have the flute, so he's going to have to take the long way up Death Mountain. And this, I think, is really going to cost him that kind of flute, especially if something like the Titan's Mitts ends up being up here. Gonna be tough to route back in that sick kid check. And Leyra's actually going to take the time to check on the lumberjack item. So Willard already saw this and saw it was specifically nothing. And Willard is going to do as much of Death Mountain as he can while he's up here. And Leyra gets the disappointing news, or actually the happy news, that it's just 20 rupees on the lumberjack tree.
And more 20 rupees on Spec Rock. And inside Spec Rock was also 300 rupees.
He's considering it. He's thinking about Zora. He's thinking about the money he's going to need for the rest of the game. And eventually decides that he's going to flute away instead of saving and quitting. I can't help but think he'll be happy with the results of this check here, getting his hook shot. Really going to open up a lot of items. There's going to be 8 items total on the right side, the eastern side of Death Mountain, as well as access to Tower of Hera, which both of these runners do have the ability to beat and full clear at the same time. So another crystal dungeon seems like a pretty easy play, especially with just such a high density of items up there. And Lyra showing up a little bit of hookshot speed. What he's doing is he's pressing the dash button at the same time he's using the hookshot, and that puts Link into a glitch state, and then you go really fast.
I'm just laughing at the Cactuar's running animations. It's just too adorable.
I mean, all of the sprites that have been done and are on the randomizer are absolutely expertly done. I'm excited to see bunny sprites. Hopefully both of these runners end up getting bunny beamed at some point here, because the community and the artists that have worked on them have done such a fantastic job. Really adds that, you know, just that extra little bit of flavor for this randomizer and bringing, you know, new life to this very old video game. So Larry's actually going to check out Spike Cave instead of doing the rest of Death Mountain first before checking out the hookshot in that east side. 20 hearts and a little bit of blue cane to get through there. Just gets a full heart container first trouble. Going to complete that first row of chests. Meanwhile, Willard on the right side. Going to get, we'll find out in a second here.
Bombs, big 20. Bloomerang. Piece of heart, and a 5 upgrade. Bleh.
Nothing quite exciting yet. A little bit of time save here on Willard's side to do a bomb jump across this gap to head up to the rest of the mountain. We'll likely see that from Leyra as well. It's a very common skip, pretty easy to pull off technically, and it's something both of these runners have no doubt practiced.
Okay, floating island, just a full heart, and then Willard's just gonna head off to Tower Hera.
So he's walking by Spiral Cave, which would be one item, but going to Spiral Cave right now would put him at the bottom of Eastern Death Mountain, which is not where he wants to be. He wants to go up here and he wants to clear out Tower of Hera. Takes a hammer at that first crystal switch and misses. That's all right. But yeah, so he's going to have a choice here. After Tower of Hera, I have to imagine he's going to go check Ether Tablet as he picks up that big key in the basement, as Lyra picks up his whole lot of nothing in Paradox Cave. So he's going to be able to go to the Ether Tablet, get that item there, and then he's going to have a choice. He's going to be able to go to either Spike Cave and kind of terminate there, or he's going to be able to go back east and head towards that Spiral Cave. I forget the name of it.
I would imagine he'd go to Spiral Cave first, just because it's actually easier to route Spike Cave with the saving room.
Leyra, on the other hand, probably just going to go right into Hera now, and then he's going to be able to come back already having done that Spike Cave trip. So still one item. Looks like it's either in Moldorm or in the basement here. Just $100 so far for our runners in Tower of Hera.
Which will actually get them both their Zora money that they've been waiting for.
Well, with Willard already having looked at the other 3 items, well, gotten 2 of the other items and looked at the 3rd one, I don't anticipate he'll be back there anytime soon. And Willard takes out Moldorm with ease, just 2 spins, and down goes the wiggly eye monster.
Looks like we're all going for a coffee break.
And Willard, already resigned to his fate, pulls out the lamp, knowing he's going to have to use that next in the basement to light those torches and get that final item. So back inside, both of our runners giving each other a little bit of a high five here across the first floor of Tower of Hera. Nothing too scary about this dungeon. You are not supposed to have red mail 10 hearts tempered sword at this point, hammer for that matter. So our runners are more than well equipped to handle this. And Willard going to take some damage from these tiles here. The point of this is getting through this basement is actually kind of a pain. Getting back upstairs to get out of this dungeon is also a pain. So what he's going to do is he's going to take a bunch of damage from these tiles here, which don't care necessarily about what level your mail is they're going to do 1 heart of damage either way. And he's going to use them to get himself low so that he can take a death from these skeletons, these Stalfos here in the next room, which will teleport him right back up to the beginning of the dungeon. And he gets the full heart refill, completely canceling out his well-laid plans. That was fantastic.
That just reminds me of the Falls World, where there's so many death blocks. Just so many.
And Leyra gets the bad news about the basement as well, but both of our runners happy to get that crystal and happy to get out of that dungeon, crossing it off their list. Willard still has Ether Tablet, Spike Cave, and Spiral Cave to do. We'll see which of those he does and in which order. That Dead Rock giving him a little bit of trouble. So next stop, what's the next stop for our runners after they kind of finish this here?
I'm seeing Skullwoods check after this, from what I can tell.
So Skullwoods has 2 items. It's pretty quick to go through, at least the first part. Looks like Leyra's going to also try to set up for a Death Warp here, taking a bunch of damage down to 2 hearts. Try to stay at 2 hearts just in case something goes wrong. You don't want to take that death too early. Skullwoods is certainly an option. 2 items quick, can also route in a couple of things with it, including the kind of northern Dark World route, but without the mirror. It's not necessarily going to be the highest density, maybe, but it might be. Eastern Palace, neither of our runners have dipped in there yet. They have that option. Palace of Darkness as well. They're able to full clear both of those dungeons, Eastern and Palace of Darkness, with the aid of glitches and with a bit of... Lyra also gets the full heart refill. So both of our runners having the same amount of heart pieces, having their perfectly laid Death Warp plans put to rest. And it does look like Willard is going to head towards that Skullwoods direction, getting that Dark World warp just north of Kakariko Village.
I'm trying to think of where else they could have progression, but I think Skullwoods is the play at this point.
So you were right about that Skullwoods play. We are going to get it in this Gibdo room here. These Gibdos moderately annoying. Not really worth it. Kill them. They have a whole lot of health. They're more meant to just be annoying than anything else. That Wallmaster also not really meant to make your life easy.
At least the Wallmaster is a better Death Warp than trying to Death Warp and getting part piece in the process.
And you see Willard right there take advantage of the poor man's mirror, getting back to the front of the dungeon with the aid of that Wallmaster.
Looks like Leyra's doing his water checks right now, going to Volvo, and then probably gonna route up to Zora. Maybe Zora actually has progression as well.
That would be quite the advantage for Leyra, should Zora hold progression and should Leyra choose to check it at this point. Willard, having already checked the items in the area, will likely not be there anytime soon, especially having already checked Catfish even. So we could see a little bit of gamble pay off for Willard here, or not pay off for Willard here, with Leyra checking Zora. And Leyra is going to head in that direction. Meanwhile, Willard is all done with Skullwoods. Nothing too exciting there. As he gets the powder. And powder is a welcome safety. It's also a little bit of a fetch quest item. Does have the ability to check that now, but it is not something he would be able to do from here. Either need the mirror or a save and quit to go check in on that, as we see just 3 bombs on Bumper Cave.
So cape not necessarily required in this scene.
And Leyra is going to head up and check that Zora item, so we are going to get a little bit of extra knowledge from our runners here, as Willard going to head into Thieves Town, pick up his flippers along the way here. Now we're going to see if Willard ends up checking the entire dungeon or just these first 4 chests. Lyra certainly opted to get all of the chests, but I am far more interested in what Zora has today.
Hopefully it's not a life or love lesson.
Got plenty of hearts and plenty of money. We could use a little bit of progression, though. And just that full heart container. And we got Odie as the bunny sprite for Garfield. That's fantastic. Man, the artists on this game, like the community, is really, really good. I like Odie.
Oh yeah, one of my favorites is Terra from Final Fantasy VI. I always mention in chat that they should make one where Terra's regular sprite would be the regular sprite, and then the Esper sprite would be the bunny sprite, but they did it the other way around.
That is a very popular sprite, that Terra sprite. And I like that one. It's very well done too. So we're going to head back into the rest of Thieves Town. Meanwhile, Leyra is going to route in his Ice Rod and get his flute on the way. He'll be very pleased to see that. Already done Desert, so doesn't need the shortcut there quite yet. So Desert Palace. Yeah, so the flute doesn't unlock anything directly right now, but it is going to be a required item for when our runners are going to get into Misery Mire. There's no other way to get there without the aid of the flute. Well, no other way within these rules. But we're not going to talk about clipping here.
Yeah, the only clipping we talk about is video clips.
So with the Ice Rod, the only separation from our runners is going to be, I believe, that powder. And I'm looking at the tracker, and it's just going to be that powder and a single bottle, but that's not nearly as important.
Yeah, Leyra didn't check the left side bonk rocks just yet.
So I'm going to turn in that mushroom. Now, usually you want to avoid these one-off checks, but this is quite the fast one-off check. We're going to take a flute from here. I don't believe this counts as a screen transition. Oh, he's going to go do other stuff first. He's going to go check Ice Rod Cave first. Chat pointing out Willard does not have flippers, but he is about to get them. So even though it's not in his inventory yet, he's got them. I'm pretty confident here. And indeed, he adds the flippers to his collection of items.
Kinda ironic since Garfield doesn't really like water.
Garfield doesn't like anything.
He
So
likes
the Ice
lasagna.
Rod
What are you
Cave,
talking about?
he does like lasagna. That's a good point. Everybody likes lasagna, though. Just 20 rupees at the Witch's Hut today. Selling that mushroom for a big 20. And Larry's going to head up, probably doing Skull Woods, just the same as Willard here. And this blind fight on the right side of your internet, very scripted, something both of these runners, and Leyra showed this off earlier. It's a pretty easy fight. It looks very chaotic, especially when you start running this game. But once you figure out what the script is, how to maneuver, and how to manipulate blind into favorable positioning, it becomes a very, very easy fight as Willard holds that green pendant and Leyra gets the bad news, or possibly good news, about the couch cash on the pedestal.
Yep, Leyra finding out that this is the Deadestone seed, which Willard found out at 11 minutes in.
That noise you just heard was me rolling my eyes. So not a lot of high density plays anymore for our runners. We could see a pendant pod dip here. We could see an Eastern Palace dip. Willard's going to check out that mushroom first. Going to try to get spin speed off of the stairs here. Gets it easily. But after this, I would probably be inclined to dip pod. With the bottle glitch, you're able to clear out all of the items, but it is something that could just straight up not be required. So it would be a bit of a gamble, but it's the highest density I can see. Willard, though, the 500 rupees burning a hole in his pocket. He needs to go see what Zora has. This is going to bother him. Sprinkles a little bit of powder there at the Pickle Man. He gets to have a little bit of fun fact about Vitorp defeating our reigning champion Ajneb in a 1v1 race. So place your bets on Vitorp for this year's tournament, everyone.
Okay, that's the first time I've ever seen that text box.
If you do play this game regularly and you only race it, it is definitely worth it to take some time and find all the little Easter eggs, find all the little text boxes. The developers did a fantastic job getting those in there. They're really quite fun. Read all the signs, talk to all the NPCs, and get your piece of heart from Zora.
Or not.
He doesn't even need that. Throw it in the ground. Throw it in the toilet. We don't need that. So, Willard going to pull out the flute from Link's house here as Leyra gets the bad news about the map in the big key location. And it's looking like Eastern Palace for Willard. We'll see if Leyra has pretty much the same ideas. Both of our runners did diverge quite early, but are now more or less following in each other's footsteps.
Yeah, I don't remember either of them going to Eastern early on.
Willard turning into that green pendant. No, nobody hit Eastern. They both have checked Strahasala and the back of Strahasala's house now. Lyra's going to go turn in that powder. Meanwhile, Willard's going to head into Palace of Darkness. Question in chat, don't need your bow for Eastern Palace. While you do need the bow to beat Eastern Palace, you do not need the bow to check all of the other chests in Eastern Palace. So 3 items total in Eastern, as the magic bag gives up just a 20 rupee drop for Leyra's side. You do have the ability to get some items. It could be a forced double dip by the logic, by the game. And while runners want to avoid them, sometimes they are unavoidable. So Willard here, I don't believe he has a potion. What's in that second bottle? Does that second bottle have a potion?
No, I believe they're both B's, so...
That was kind of what I remembered. So Willard's going to accept that if this is bow locked, if there is no small key in this first chest that he opens, he's going to have to duck out of here. But I think that might save him. Meanwhile, Leyra is going to head into Eastern Palace, so both of our runners in the same general area, just in slightly different worlds. And we do have a small key on Willard's side, so he is going to be able to continue his progression.
And hopefully get progression in the process. It'd be kind of funny if it was a bow in either pod or Eastern.
Both of those are still a possibility at this point. And Leyra picking up the big key to Eastern Palace in the first chest there. Without the mirror or the bow on Willard's side, this is a little tricky to route, but confident he can handle it.
Provided he doesn't have any issues with more heart pieces blocking his death warps. And we just saw the first item in Eastern, it's just a big 20.
20 rupees is the most common item in this game. And just more rupees on Willard's side, so nothing too exciting here in a capacity upgrade. Now we're going to show off some pot strats here in the Stalfos room in Eastern Palace. Put those guys to rest before they can even finish spawning. Palace of Darkness absolutely loaded with small keys. Not so much on the progression though today.
Yeah, it's not being a treasure pod like I usually do. Oh, we getting a big hammer jump here?
A little bit of a hammer jump. This is something that both of our runners are very familiar with. It helps a little bit of to save a little bit of time in some circumstances. Willard looking to save a key here, I believe. Also helps if you go through the maze backwards and you don't have the mirror. It helps because you come out at the front, and so then you're able to go and move on with the rest of the pod. Whereas once you get to that big chest, if you're coming the normal way, the intended way, you don't really have a good way to get back into the rest of the dungeon other than setting up a death warp. So Willard does manage to get the rest of those items. Doesn't have the big key yet. Looking like that's going to live in... Where is that going to live? Does he have the big key?
No, he hasn't. I think it's in the pod, the drop down areas.
No, it could be. It could be in the right side of pod here.
There's that too, but while we were talking about Willard, we just missed Lyra finding Fire Rod in Eastern Big Chest.
Oh my goodness, the fire rod for Lyra is a pretty big deal. Fire rod's going to open up a couple of things, including Skull Woods, where Lyra's going to head right now to clear that out of the way. Oh man, chat is right on us too. That's my fault. I take full responsibility for missing that. No, and then chat's getting excited for cape. We already know the cape's not required. These runners don't need cape. The cape, throw it in the trash. Lyra's going to have the first shot at Mothula here. Mothula is that other 5-6 crystal, so this is going to open up Pyramid Fairy as well. Question chat about, do we know what is in Bumper Cave? Yes, it is garbage.
Yeah, Bumper Cave item just blows like 3 times.
Wow, that's a lot of eye rolling I'm going to be doing tonight. Will's going to go check out his Spike Cave. Again, just a one-off location. Not quite the most efficient check in the world, but with that cape and that blue cane, he's getting the signal from the seed that maybe it's time to head to somewhere where those could be useful. He's going to get the bad news, though, about, I believe, a full heart container. So Titan's Mitts and the bow are really holding us back as far as progression here. We would need the bow to complete both Eastern Palace and Palace of Darkness. The mirror would be holding us back from doing Swamp Palace or even entering it. Skull Woods obviously going to be full clearable as soon as you get the fire rod, so Lyra already has that and is already back here. Ice Palace, Misery Mire, Turtle Rock, these are all things gated by the Titan's Mitts. Misery Mire would also require the red cane in order to beat it. Turtle Rock would require the red cane to even enter it.
Turtle Rock also needs a Titan's Mitt, plus depending on which medallion for both Mire and TR. And they're only 2/3 of the way to both their access to open doors, Mire and TR. We could have a double bomb most probably.
And we see that second item from Skull Woods. It is just a heart piece, but we will get that all-important 5th or 6th crystal. So now we have both of those. We will be heading towards Pyramid Fairy, I would guess. It is the most recent thing unlocked. It is something that requires, has quite a bit of requirements. I would not be surprised to see Lyra head over there. Has Lyra checked the pyramid? I don't think he has. I think just Willard has. There's a big 5 rupees on the pyramid. So this will actually be a 3-item check, making it a little bit more efficient. And starting at Link's house, when you have the flute, is certainly an indication he is heading in that direction. Counterfeit Saint in chat pointing out that I sound exactly like Dan Fabrizio. I don't know who that is. But I'm going to look it up, and then I'm going to get back to you whether I'm offended or complimented. Also, I could definitely be that guy. You have no idea who I am. So it looks like we are going to get that big bomb check from Lyra. And Willard in Eastern Palace is going to pick up his fire rod. I have to imagine this is pretty close behind for him. So right now, our run, we're not even an hour in. It's way too early to say who's ahead and who's behind. But as far as predicting who's ahead and who's behind right now, gonna give Lyra the edge. Lyra's got more crystals. He didn't take that pod dip, which resulted in a whole big pile of nothing. for Willard. So assuming Leyra stays out of Palace of Darkness, that should be a considerable time save on his part.
Yeah, especially if he finds like the bow in here, and then he can just dash right up to from the pyramid area.
And indeed, he's going to pair this with the pyramid item check, and we get the we get a little bit of a timer reset there. That was weird. This game is very well coded. And 3 bombs and the Titan's Mitt. So this is definitely required for progression. This was the correct play from Leyra. He has all sorts of things in this world open to him now. And we'll see where he heads first with his new golden ticket to the rest of the Golden Land. Man, even my wife's rolling her eyes. Jesus. I'm doing my best here.
I'm expecting an ice play. Or no, never mind. East side Death Mountain.
So I like this play a lot, because this play, not only is it going to give you a bunch of items in Hookshot Cave, there's 4 items in Hookshot Cave, and then there's 2 items in Super Bunny Cave. So 6 total chests. That's very, very good density for an hour in. It also gives you information about what is required to open up Turtle Rock. And the information in this game is so important, and it's so valuable to know, like, do I have the medallions required, or do I need to go out of my way to find Bombos later on? Really going to help in routing later on, really going to help our runners figure out whether or not they're in go mode. So I like this play a lot from Leyra, and I would like it even more if right after this he headed to Mire to do the same thing and check in on whatever that pendant is down in the southwest of the map.
Yeah, I have to agree. Knowledge is power. They need to know whether they need the bombos or not.
But you're right, Ice Palace is fully completable. It is in the logic. It is a dungeon that is obviously much faster to complete when you do not need to check any items versus when you need to full clear it. And we do need Bombos for Turtle Rock here. So Leyra getting the bad news, he does not have the entrance requirements for the rock shaped like a turtle.
Of course, it would be bombos when we got the other 2 early on.
But with 6 items up here, this is certainly not a waste of time, and that knowledge is something that he is going to appreciate having. And Willard following behind here. Oh, and Leyra gets the bow. Last chest in Hookshot Cave. We have the bow, so that's going to open up Eastern and that east side of Pod. Got to be happy to see the bow. Bow's going to be required for every single seed, and we are happy to have it at 57 minutes in here. And you know what? We don't have to worry about where Bombos is, because Bombos is in Super Bunny Cave. Put it in his pocket. Put it on the tracker. We're good to go for Turtle Rock once we find that red cane.
Do you think Leyra will go straight to Eastern, or will he check Mire first?
I think Mire first. I think you want to wait to check Eastern. I think you want that knowledge now. Well, I was wrong. I think you want that knowledge now, though. I think you want the knowledge now as far as... oh, no, you don't need the knowledge. You have all 3 pendants. No, yeah, no, that's stupid. I still think you want to wait until you have the mirror to check Pod and Eastern. If Eastern ends up being nothing on Armos, then you want that option to go check Palace of Darkness after. You don't want to have to come here later and effectively dip again, even though you're coming to a different dungeon. It's still in the same area. It's still going to take you the same amount of time to get there. So Willard going to take Mothula down very easily. Combination of that Fire Rod and that Tempered Sword. The big bug is no problem and explodes promptly after getting slashed. Holds up that 5/6 crystal. And his Titan's Mitts are not very far away. I think he's basically run out of places to check besides that Pyramid Fairy. We got a little bit of hype in chat for a pedestal seed. There will be no pedestal seeds today. Pedestal is dead. We found out 11 minutes in. It's just got 20 rupees on it.
Yeah.
Or couch cash. Could be 50 rupees. Could be 5 rupees. Could be a single rupee.
Yeah, 11 minutes in, Willard, once they got the book, he just checked it just to be sure.
So Lyra heading up without those silvers, going to have to do the full 18 arrow shot at those Armos Knights. Meanwhile, Willard's going to go and negotiate for a large explosive device.
You know, I'm wondering if they should really go to pod. I know it usually has a lot of items, but it's also a pendant, so that might change their mind whether to go to pod or not, at least for Lyra's sake.
Absolutely. I mean, not wanting to go in those pendant dungeons is certainly... You have to skip something. If you want to win a race, especially if you want to get to 4-0, you're going to have to skip something, and it's going to have to pay off for you. Lyra showing a lot of skill here in this Armos fight. If he can line it up just right, he's going to be able to kill that last Armos Knight before it's able to turn red. Does so expertly, picks up his second bottle. So not quite the enemy wanted to see, but that crystal is very welcome in his inventory.
That's 3 of 4 bottles, and they were all Bs, if you didn't notice.
And we got that golden gloves on Willard's side, so he's got the world open to him now. Let's see where he decides to take himself. Lyra going to make that ice play that you were talking about earlier. No other reason for him to really be here. It is a full clearable dungeon. It is a crystal dungeon. He is getting close to go mode as well, so he needs just the red cane, it looks like, if I'm looking at this correctly. Mirror is not required here. So just the red cane. So we got one item from go mode for Lyra. And so going into Ice Palace, not a bad play when you're just one item. Now we could get some information here as well. So this isn't just, you know, a crystal play, but because of the way that you can sequence break Ice Palace via the Ice Palace bomb jump, if you don't do that, and the logic certainly doesn't require you to, the red cane can actually be required for this dungeon. So we can know whether or not we can get a little bit more information as far as if we find something. Well, I don't know what information we can get. It is the go mode item, is the red cane. So maybe no good information. I guess the red cane could be just about anywhere at this point. And just a heart piece as our first item, but we'll find out whether or not the red cane is logically required for this, whether the final boss has a small key or not.
Is the red cane logically required for this dungeon? I mean, in vanilla, you don't actually need the red cane. You just have to do a ridiculous amount of backtracking.
Correct, but if there is a small key on Cold Stare, then you do.
Fair point.
Willard gonna get the good news about Bombos and his bow here shortly. So he's still following in Lyra's footsteps. Gonna need to make up some time somewhere here. Could be an Ice Palace. Could be a full clear of Ice Palace versus a go mode Ice Palace if Willard decides to go somewhere else. Or if the red cane ends up not being in here, and Lyra decides to dip that Turtle Rock. Or excuse me, dip that Palace of Darkness. I'm good at remembering names.
Or even Mire. We could have a vanilla cane.
And Mire's not a bad play. I mean, it would be a gamble. They can't complete it without cane, but it could definitely be locked inside. Cannot be inside Turtle Rock. You need that red cane to enter in the first place. And Lyra takes down those the penguins with ease in a single swing.
Unless you want to be extra trolly and have the mirror show up in pod, nothing in ice, and then you have to go to swamp. It's on the left side.
So as a runner, are you hoping that there's a mirror that shows up here? Do you want that mirror? Do you want those possibilities opened up for you? Or do you want to keep on the straight and narrow and more rely on your execution than your routing skills? Which would you prefer?
I would rather not have the mirror because it just opens up way too much. And they just need that one item.
Well, it's something we'll have to ask our runners at the end here as Willard makes his way back through Eastern Palace. Did not get the Dark World Warp coming in here, so he's not going to check Palace of Darkness at the same time. Might come back a little later for it. We'll see where he goes after this. But Lyra's side is going to be the more interesting one for now, as he's got a whole new chest open before your very eyes. And this room called the Iced Tea Room, just a small key today.
More like ice cold room for having just a key. Ugh.
That's not even a pun. That's just like a property of ice. Ugh.
I wasn't actually planning upon there. I had nothing to do about it.
Across the red jelly room and into this spike room we go. There're going to be 3 chests up these stairs for Lyra, as Willard's going to continue on through Eastern Palace. So Willard's already checked that northeast area. I mean, we could see something like, you know, to get Willard back into this, we could see something like a Mire gamble, going into Mire if Willard feels he's behind, and hope that the red cane is there. Because that's all Willard needs as well at this point.
They both still need to do the Smith move if they'll find anything here.
Certainly something that was opened up to them by the Titansmiths. And you can do the Smith sequence. Ooh, Willard just barely missing the quick kill on Armos. Gets him down quickly anyway. Picks up his bee in a bottle. Gonna have a lot of bees for that Ganon fight. Lots of lag on the screen.
I wasn't quite counting items. Did we just get the 3rd item on Ice Palace? Or
We did indeed. So Ice Palace is dead. But this gives Willard good news. Willard is a little bit behind right now, and it isn't an opportunity for him to completely go mode a dungeon, whereas Lyra's going to be spending much more time in here. And it looks like Willard is going to be heading to Mire. So I mean, we could see Mire Shed having the red cane. We could see Mire itself having the red cane. And we still have a race on our hand, everybody. Mire Shed holding a bunch of money, as well as an arrow upgrade. So nothing good in the Mire Shed. Willard, there's only one place to go from here, and that's into Misery Mire itself. I love this gamble. Only 2 items in here, but it does seem to have progression. That might be a little bit of confirmation bias there. And Willard pulls out Ether. He is going into the Mire as Lyra cracks open Cold Stare and takes a swing at those puff skating eye things. Skating eyes, not nearly as fun as walking eyes, obviously. And Cold Stare pays the price. I don't know what for. Gives up the map. So we get the red cane that's not required for Ice Palace. We get that crystal from Ice Palace. And we're still looking for that red cane. No sword beams on Willard's side. Gonna have to use the fire rod if he wants to one-cycle this room. I've seen him do it before. He's quite proficient at no major glitches, and that is certainly required. And he gets it very, very well. I'm very impressed whenever I see that. That is a tricky room to do in a single cycle.
Yeah, typically Randall runners, they would use sword beams or maybe the occasional King of Samaria, but Willard being, as you said, an NMG runner, he didn't have to worry about that too much.
To be clear, we're not putting runners in category. Like you are either an NMG runner or a random runner. Everybody's welcome, whether you whatever you run, as long as you want to play and have fun and be a positive voice in the community. Everybody is welcome. So we're going to get Lyra checking out the Mire Shed as well. Going to be disappointed here. We'll see if he decides to dip in too, because we got a vanilla red cane, or French vanilla red cane. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Let's see it. We're in go mode at 107:35-ish. I wasn't looking at the exact timer.
Yeah, roughly. But yeah, that's going to be good for Willard, but it's even going to be better for Lyra, because he's just going to try to go mode it. The unfortunate part is Mire go mode doesn't really look that much different than full clear Mire.
No, but I think we're closer than you might think, because we still have that Ice Palace. So all that Ice Palace time, Lyra is probably still ahead here by a little bit. But we have all of that. What is Willard looking for still? Does he need the big key? He must still need the big key. 50-50 shot, whether it's in this chest or not. So we still have all of Ganon's Tower to do, which can be obviously a big time difference. But basically, the difference in time that we have between these two runners right now is Willard did Palace of Darkness, which turned out to have nothing. And Lyra did a full clear of Ice Palace, whereas Willard will get to go mode it after this dungeon.
We're just hoping for big key in this chest, and he is lucky.
So we're going to head straight to Vitreous at this point, through those dark rooms. Easy to navigate with that lamp. Doesn't look like he has a lot of hearts, but he does have a lot of red mail. So we'll be fine for this fight, especially with that bow. 18 arrows, a little low, but he'll be fine. Bees, unfortunately, don't work against the big eyeball and his eyeball friends. A lot of eyeball bosses in this game.
A lot of eyeball bosses in the Zelda series in general, starting with Gohma, the very first one. Do you think Willard will be using cape strats just so he can save the arrows against the big eyeball?
Honestly, what I expect him to do is to pull out that powder on that anti-fairy just before Vitreous, fill up his hearts, and then just do spin strats like he's accustomed to in NMG. So we have go mode for Lyra's side as well, grabbing that big key and that red cane. So we have an execution race here. We're going to have a little bit of split in Ganon's tower coming up here in a couple of minutes after our runners collect these last couple of crystals. So we'll see if my prediction's right about Willard wanting to refill his health. I don't see any other reason why he would do that powder. But as far as the fastest way right now with the equipment he has available to him, this is the fastest option. And this is a race, so we're going fast. Lyra having a little bit of trouble getting that switch taken care of and getting out of that room. As Willard going to use those damage boosts to take care of those eyeballs. Gets all but one. Takes the arrow. Gets the easy 0 cycle on Vitreous. And that execution practice is going to pay off here. Pulls out the cape. I have no idea why.
Maybe he was thinking the aforementioned cape straps, as I mentioned. Wow, I said that so much.
That's all right. We forgive you. So we're gonna use the time at which our runners enter Turtle Rock as kind of the judge over who's ahead, who's behind, and by how much. So Willard, it's a lot easier to go to from Turtle Rock to Ganon's Tower. So Willard gonna head to Ice Palace now, clear that out. Gonna be a lot faster than what Lyra did over there, only having to do a go mode instead of a full clear. Lyra doing the same spin strats, getting a health refill on that anti-fairy. A little bit more trouble than Willard has, but still not a problem. Misses the 0 cycle, gets down to 2 hearts here. Might want to consider using a ranged weapon like the bow to finish this off. Gets it done, gets the job done. 8 arrows into the center of the eyeball, and down goes Vinny.
Yeah, he was having a bit of trouble. Not too much, but enough to make you just a tad annoyed.
But I mean, if you're gonna use that as a judge as far as like who's ahead and who's behind, Lyra's gonna enter Turtle Rock first. So Lyra's gonna be a minute or 2 ahead going into Turtle Rock, probably even a little bit more than that even. But Willard's execution, especially on these boss fights, has been just a little bit smoother. So we could see Willard, relying on his execution skills, relying on his practice to get a little bit closer every single screen. But we still have a lot of random to play here with only 112 into this race. Especially with the with no silvers yet. So no silvers is really gonna emphasize the skill involved in defeating the final boss here. And Larry gets dead rocked, and that's not fun. I don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah, those squirrels are such a pain.
Willard expertly doing the bomb jump, and Lyra expertly angrily slashing at those dead rocks because they're terrible. And Lyra, using his knowledge about where everything is in the world, knows there's a fairy if you balk into those rocks, gets a health refill on the way up to Death Mountain. And stuff like that's very, very important and a little bit of an underrated skill here in Randomizer. Knowing which pots have those full magic refills, little fairies hanging out in bonk rocks, all that stuff ends up being very important for just being able to survive through the world, making sure you have full resources at all times. I expect Lyra to pick up a little bit of arrow refill, for example, on the way through here to make sure he's got enough for Ganon's tower. And Lyra enters at 114.15. So I'm going to write that down. Cold Stare getting away a little bit from Willard, but that Fire Rod doing gold sword damage at this point. Going to easily put Cold Eyeball in his place.
And we got baked cotton candy, I guess.
And crystal number 6 is done for WillardJBradley.
So Terra Rock Long Dungeon, most runners prefer it to be at the end, just because, again, like I said for Mire, Turtle Rock low mode is usually the same as Turtle Rock full clear.
And it's definitely helpful as far as getting up the mountain. There's a lot of time involved in climbing up and down Death Mountain. So being able to go directly from your last crystal being Turtle Rock to Ganon's Tower, a welcome optimization for these runners. Silver Arrow is really the only item we could possibly be looking for at this point. Nothing else is really interesting to our runners. They have plenty of hearts. They have plenty of sword. Shield, not really going to get a lot done here in these later stages of the game for these runners.
Not to mention they're most likely both very versed with Silverless Ganon, so they're not going to be too worried about getting Silvers or Butter Sword.
Well, whether they want Butter Sword or not, they're getting it because Lyra just found it in the Chain Chomp's room. So we got a golden Butter Sword.
Okay, I turned into a witch. Do I have to run now?
We'll wait until the big key guessing game to determine that. And Lyra, indeed, see, picked up those 5 arrows right there in that pot. That's a very well-known, like, there are 5 arrows under here. It is a something you have to go by. You might as well pick it up. And if you don't know about that, if you're not aware at all times of your surrounding, of what you have. Ooh, we did get the sprite. What is that? It's a little chocobo, isn't it? This is adorable. So a little chocobo sprite is the bunny sprite. I'm glad I got my wish of having a... oh, you're right. I missed it. Thank you very much. Shout outs to Veljan for... no, that's not how you say that. Let me see. Voolagin. For figuring out when Willard was in there. So it's a 2:15 lead for Lyra right now. We're going to have to use Willard's execution in order to catch him back up. 2:15 is nothing. We can get that in a left side versus right side Ganon split. We can get that on execution in the gauntlet. We can get that on, triples with the Silverless Ganon versus only hitting him double per lamplight. We can get him with a couple of Moldorm falls, a couple of Ganon falls, anything. So we still have quite the race here. This is a very close race. So definitely stay tuned. This is not over by any stretch.
Leyra was lucky there because I was kind of worried about him not going to the big chest, but turns out he gets another key on the way, so he doesn't have to go to Laser Bridge.
Yeah, you can only get really in trouble if there is a small key in both the vanilla big key chest and the big chest. In that case, you would be locked and have to mirror, and that would be a huge time loss, especially because they don't have mirror. But taking that gamble is a very good gamble, especially if you're looking to save some time. Now, if you're either of these runners, do you feel behind?
I would, for Willard's side, definitely, because Pod usually has items and it didn't this time around, so he's probably feeling a little tense.
Now, if you're Leyra, are you worried about that full clear ice palace that resulted in a whole big pile of nothing?
That I would have to also do with. That's pretty tough, to be quite honest.
So both of these runners are likely feeling behind at that point. Something we'll ask them later in the interviews if they choose to do so. And putting that gold sword to work on those 2 Trinex heads. Now he's only mono necks. Get wrecked. Does have to do the 1 cycle, doesn't quite get the 0 cycle, but then the second phase, the big snake, spends more time exploding than he does living.
That's why people call this the microwave boss.
And Willard is going to take time to check that big chest. Silver arrows in this chest could be a difference. All right, so we got to do the big key guessing game. Do we know how to do this? I don't know how to do this. Shoot.
I got it.
All right, thank God. And just a compass in the big chest. So is it started? Can we start guessing? Put your guesses back in. Yeah, we're started. We're going. Get your guesses in. 1 to 22. What chest do you think the big key is going to be in?
I'm always a troll. I always guess tile room. And it's actually happened about 4 times for me, so I'm not putting a number in. Especially since twice I started the game and I turn up the winner. So yeah, I'm not putting a number in.
That's brutal. Of course, being number 22 has a 1 in 22 chance, I believe, of being correct. So we get a lot of guesses in chat. Some more generous than others. And we'll have our first. We gotta end it. We gotta end the thing. We gotta end the guessing game because it's 2. It's 2. We're done. Quick big key, not what Willard wants to see, not what either of our runners want to see if they believe they're behind, but that's what they're getting today. So we have a guess of 1 from Akarinipa. How'd I do? 3 out of 10 for effort. So congratulations, you are our winner today. You will be that will be recorded in the leaderboard for the internet to envy.
Do you usually give her feet their face love and affection for a winning that prize?
I don't have that power. So Leyra heading up to Gauntlet, gonna take care of these red mimics first. Only weapon that will defeat these guys is the bow. And Willard showing off that execution skill again, gets the 0 cycle on Trinex, gets his final crystal, and is going to be heading up to Ganon's Tower himself very shortly. So we've got a completely untouched swamp. We never even found the mirror. We have no idea where the mirror was. So I guess at this point, both of our runners are hoping the other one found the mirror and was using it to open up all sorts of unnecessary items. Well, the difference in this race looks to be the pod dip. And it's a reasonable gamble. I even called it out reasonably early as a high density item area, and just didn't quite pay off. So, and that being said, this is still a very close race. Although with Leyra's execution in this gauntlet, he is certainly cementing his lead by performing very well here. Takes care of that final gauntlet room on to land mode 2. Gonna refill his hearts here a little bit.
That gauntlet room was really quick. That you just blinkly missed.
So we are going to refight Landmo here. We'll see a refight Moldon a little bit later on. Willard grabs his requisite 1 key to head up to the upper floors of Ganon's Tower. Lyra showing off what that red cane can do. That red cane does everything. It makes platforms, it makes blocks, you can throw the blocks, and the blocks explode into lasers that kill everything in the room. I feel like the Cane of Samaria could have been like 4 items, and it still would have been overpowered. And Willard taking care of those red mimics. So no more gambling to do here. At this point, it's just going to come down to execution. The trickiest thing, the hardest thing, Ganon is not a joke. Both of these runners, certainly to get to this spot in the tournament, the point in the tournament where you are sitting at 3-0, where you have won your first 3 rounds, they are certainly going to be well-versed in that Silverless Ganon fight. But there are different layers to that. There are different skill levels even within ability to do Silverless Ganon. There's still, you know, whether you're getting 2 spins in per torch phase versus 3 spins in per torch phase, and that can really cut down a lot on your time if you can learn how to execute that with the 3 spins. So it's something where if one runner is more comfortable with it than another, then we could still have, you know, a photo finish here in this race. And Willard showing off his skill in the gauntlet, trying to do it even faster than Leyra did. I think it's about the same speed for them. As Leyra heads down to visit the snaky guy. Takes a fall to Moldorm too. So that's what the Brew Crew wants to see. That's not what what do you think Leyra calls his fans? What do you think? Let's brainstorm some names for him.
Something with the GG.
The GG group, the good group, the gaming group guys, good. No, I'm not liking any of those. Larians. Yeah, I like Larians. Larians is Cactar Club. No, that's just his, like... Cactar Club isn't like a working on the... It's just the sprite he uses. I mean, we don't know if he uses the Cactar sprite all the time. He doesn't own the Cactar sprite.
Sabatender would have words for anybody to call that says that the Cactar Club is not his. Because Sabatender is the Japanese name for Cactar.
Oh, that's interesting. I had no idea. So we get to our Aga 2 fight here. Lines up in a pretty favorable initial position. Only gets the single. I don't think that counted as a double. And if you like that position in the first place, you're going to get it again. Another single here as Willard lights up his torches.
One of those shots got stuck in the wall because I think that's...
And down goes Aga. So Leyra going to be heading into the Ganon fight with a comfortable lead.
So I think that was 2, 1, 1, and 2. Can somebody in chat tell me if I'm right?
Counting is hard, and we're going to Ganon right now. So with that Butter Sword, we're going to need 6 hits for the first 2 phases. We're going to need 4 hits for that second phase. We're going to need 12 spins for that final phase.
Well, Willard is hoping that Leyra falls a couple of times, just so he can catch back up.
I don't even think it would take that. I think it would take just a couple of missed spins. I think with the equipment our runners have, it's not going to be any doubt. But Leyra has a very comfortable lead right now. If Leyra misses Torch Glitch, that could be the difference, certainly.
Mind you, it's very rare to miss a lap torch glitch by hoping first the runners.
Yeah, certainly with the half magic in the lamp, this should be no problem for our runners. And you'll notice on Willard's side, he's getting the exact same patterns as Leyra. The game is programmed such that both runners with the same seed will have the same random number generator to get those same patterns. And Leyra does easily get that torch glitch. Gets that first spin on Ganon. Gets that second spin on Ganon. I'm not doing this all the way to 12. You guys know how to count to 12, right? And he's showing us that, ooh, he misses that one. That's going to throw off his timing a bit. He's only going to get one this phase. So he gets that. I don't think this is going to last. Nope.
Yeah, he was trying to wait on the fire rock shot to do a third to get the triple, but he overshot that one.
Gets that first one this time as Willard just falling into his Ganon fight. At this point, they're going back and forth. Every chance they get, they're looking over to see who is not done yet. And Leyra not going to be denied this win. Going to keep fighting here. Getting those triples as Ganon teleports around. Missed one there. Still has plenty of lead to work with.
Yeah, the timing on the first triples are very tighter. It's much tighter than the other stage slashes require.
But you cannot get to 3-0 without being a very skilled runner, without being a very practiced runner. Leyra showing that now as the big pig goes down. The explosions are happening as Willard is halfway through phase 3. And Leyra's going to sub 130 this. So a very fast scene. And walks through the door, and that's it. Put it in the books. Leyra moves on, 4-0. Let's get some GGs in chat.
Yeah, very cool scene, despite like a couple of miscues on their part, but it was very minor miscues.
And Willard just a phase 4 behind, so certainly made up a bunch of time due to that Palace of Darkness play. Unfortunately, wasn't quite enough for the Brew Crew master. I don't know, like, is he the what's the leader of the Brew Crew called? I guess just Willard.
Maybe Brewmeister?
Brewmeister's good. Brewmaster, but I think his is more of a coffee reference than a beer reference. So we're going to see if we can pull Leyra in here for an interview. Willard should be along shortly as well. But this was one heck of a seed. I was entertained. I hope you all in chat were entertained.
Besides,
Willard's the barista. That makes sense. All right, let's send out... And let's get some GGs for Willard, who just barely gets a 131 on this seed. So an extremely close race. We got a little over a minute separating these runners, a minute and 20 seconds, less than a minute and 20 seconds. So this was close right to the very end. That's fantastic. And we are joined by Leyra. Leyra, GG's, what one heck of a win you had there.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Hello, we can hear you just fine.
GG's.
So, Leyra's gonna be right back. He's got no audio on us right now, so we're gonna wait on that. Yeah, this was a close race, man. This was really, really close the whole time. It's just that one dip in a pod was the whole difference. So we're gonna see if we can get Willard in here as well.
In the meantime, chat, I put up some links. Follow the runners, follow the trackers in commentary. Well, except for me, because I don't actually stream yet.
Fine, I won't follow you then. I was gonna, but now you told me not to. I'm not gonna. Give him a follow anyway, folks. He did a great job here commentating. Definitely give our runners a follow. They put on one heck of a show for us. They showed expert skill. Both of them deserve to be here. It could have gone either way, to be honest. I expect to see both of these runners, not just in the bracket stage, but deep in the bracket stage. Wouldn't be surprised at all if either of them made it into that top 8. I mean, these runners are just that good. Give them a follow. Give them some of your support. It doesn't cost anything for a follow. And yeah, catch them on their next round. It'll definitely be worth it. I'm just kind of in a holding pattern right now. I don't really know what to say. I guess we fill this with colorful banter. I don't have any colorful banter. I'm afraid to engage you with banter. I'm afraid you're just going to pull out some puns. And I don't really want to be seen as encouraging that.
So basically, you don't want to be punished.
Yeah, see, this is what I was afraid of. And I did it anyway, and I got myself in the exact trouble that I thought. This is, oh man, every time. And the couch cat sleeps again forever. So never had the opportunity for that pedestal. Not very common for that to be a seed where both of our runners check the pedestal very, very early, especially without that mirror. But again, follow both of these runners. We're going to see if we can get anybody in for an interview. Leyra apparently can't hear us, and Willard is MIA. I mean, Yeah, I'm Walking Eye. My co-commentator is. Oh man, I lost the pronunciation page. Hang on.
Say Ryux.
No, I'm gonna get it. Hang on. LeyraGG. So I'm Walking Eye. That's LeyraGG. We're losing people now. I'm hearing the disconnect here. Leyra, can you hear us? Are we joined by Leyra this time or not? Still nothing from Leyra. All right, so we're going to try to get Leyra in chat to answer any questions that chat might have. Meanwhile, Willard is working on coming here. He probably needs to take a much-deserved pee break. Most runners do at the end of races. An hour and a half's a long time. Like you gotta really show some discipline. It's important to stay hydrated too. These races can be very, very demanding. You want to make sure you're staying hydrated, and you know that can lead to a race to the bathroom at the end of these heats.
Well, yeah, even for commentary tracking, I usually keep a couple bottles on me close by.
Couple bottles. How much water do you drink, man?
A lot.
That's all right. We got some time. This was only an hour and a half. We're scheduled in here for 2 hours, so it's just going to be us, just kind of mindlessly talking for the next 20 minutes at least, while we get these runners in here for an interview.
All right, Wacky, I just heard those sirens. What did you just do over there?
Shout outs to the South Boston Police Department. I know you're watching. Oh, we see the credits go by. Lots of people here work on this randomizer in finally, we got something to do. Willard, congratulations. That was one heck of a run. GG's to you. I swear to God, if your audio is not working, I'm going to turn this off right now. Willard, can you hear us? Oh, there it is. All right, GG's. That was one heck of a finish. A photo finish there at the end. Less than a minute and 20 seconds separating both of you. At any point, this being such a fast seed, you being in go mode so early, at any point did you feel behind or ahead?
I felt ahead when I found the boots. I felt behind immediately afterwards, doing literally everything else. Those pesky mitts, man. When I finally found those, I was feeling, Fire Rod and Eastern was when I was feeling really glum. And, yeah, it was rough. It was rough finding those mitts in Pyramid Ferry.
Despite doing all that, despite doing a little bit extra than your opponent, you still managed to make this an exciting race. Your execution was on point today. I mean, all that NMG practice that you've been doing certainly paid off with those boss fights. Getting Vitreous down in the Zero Cycle, getting Trinax down in the Zero Cycle. Those were all really, really impressive, really well done. And they helped you make this very, very close.
Not close enough, dang it.
I'm assuming
my opponent did not touch pod ever.
Correct. That was the difference in this race. He also did a full clear of Ice Palace. So you were able to pick up a little time there in doing a go mode Ice Palace, but not quite enough to make up for that pod.
It was either go into Eastern or go into pod at that point, and I picked pod, and that did it.
I don't think that's an unreasonable gamble, and this very easily could have gone the other way. You did get Bugnet. Didn't really put it to good use. Your bottles were already filled with bees.
Yeah, that's a garbage item anyway. Hot take. But no, that was an interesting seed. After I finally got mitts and went up and got the bow and then went and finished Eastern, I just kind of stopped. I was like, what do I do? How can I make up time? Because I knew I was behind. I was like, I could either do all the mitts overworld locations. I could go look in ice, or I could go check Mire area. And the entire time I was like, no, I'm going to go open up Mire, but then not actually go inside and debate everyone. And
I was calling it. As soon as you left that Mire shed, I was like, oh man, he's going into Mire. This is a great gamble. This is gonna get him back in it. And you went in. You didn't debate me at all.
Yeah.
You guys hear me okay?
Oh, Lyra's here too. Welcome, Lyra. Lyra's having a little bit of trouble with audio, so GG's to Lyra as well.
Jeez. Nice race, Willard. That was tough.
Yeah, GG. It was a noodle scratcher for sure.
So, Lyra, first question we wanted to ask you: at any point, did you feel ahead or behind? Was there any particular decision that you thought maybe that full clear of Ice Palace that resulted in a big pile of nothing that might have led you to believe you were ahead or behind at any point during this race?
I actually didn't mind Ice Palace too much. Once I started going to Ice, I wished I had checked Mire Shift first, but when I committed to it, I was pretty much okay with it. I didn't really like going to Thieves and getting those flippers that led to absolutely nothing. You know, if you fake flipper to Ice, you wouldn't have needed those. But I felt pretty behind most of the seed because I thought my routing was kind of sloppy. And that's why I decided to just not go pod and make the yellow gamble for Mire with the cane. Once I picked that up, I felt all right. But I knew Willard would probably be right behind me.
And he certainly was. You were both in Mire about the same time. The difference was that Ice Palace crystal in your inventory at the time. Nothing says sloppy routing like a 129.06. That's gotta be feeling good for you though.
Yeah. I felt great until I felt a Moldorm and got those sweaty palms and started getting a little shaky. The last 3 minutes of my seed was poopy, but you know.
So one final question for both of you. I'll ask Lyra first. What are your goals for this tournament? Sitting at 4-0, you're sitting pretty getting those bracket stays. What are you hoping to accomplish?
And I just want to win one more and make it to the brackets. That was my goal from the start. So hopefully I can take care of that.
All right, and Willard, how about you?
Same. 5-2. Let's go.
5-2 is the goal. Definitely well within reach for both of these. I would expect both of them to not only make it to the bracket stage, but make it deep in the bracket stage. They start off some really skill here. So give both of these guys a follow. Links are in chat. Give the runners a follow. They put on a heck of a show for everybody here today. Thank you guys very much. It was an honor to commentate this. And shout outs to my co-commentator as well. I kind of talked over you there. Did you have any questions for the runners?
Nope, you covered everything actually.
I'm good at this game. All right, so with that, we are going to post those links into chat one more time and leave the final words with our winner here, Lyra. Any final words as we get out of here?
Thanks for racing, Willard. Thanks for commentating, guys. That was a lot of fun.
And have a good night from the Speed Gaming channel of Speed Gaming family of channels. Give them a follow too. Give the Link to the Past Randomizer channels a follow too. Plenty of randomizer action coming your way this week and for the next couple of weeks. So I'm sure we'll host somebody after this. So thanks for watching, everyone.
Later's all.